Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast. I'm your host, Steve Creasy, inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, hello and welcome to episode 5 of the DCL podcast, your podcast for Disney Cruise Line history, trip reports, and general travel planning. And welcome also to 2017. I apologize. It's been a little bit since we've gotten a show out to you. It's been kind of crazy up here in Oregon, as it's been around the rest of the country, it seems. We've had 2 ice storms, snowstorms, and multiple days off for the kids, so it's been kind of crazy up here. But finally, glad to be back at it with you. And I've got a great episode tonight. We are going to be talking about concierge cruising with Christy Pudick, and really excited to have her on the show tonight. And I hope that you find it very informative. It's an aspect of cruising which I have never done, but would love to do it sometime. Before we jump into the show, though, I'd like to throw out 2 things that caught my attention this week. Looking at the Disney Parks blog, they still have, and I want to get it out to everybody, you still have until January 31st to enter the Disney Movie Rewards Unforgettable Getaway Sweepstakes, which is going to be a 4-night Disney cruise to the Bahamas on board either the Disney Dream or the Disney Wonder, and it doesn't cost anything to enter this contest. So just go to the Disney Parks blog and look under Disney Cruise Line, and you can find a link to it there to enter the Disney Movie Rewards Unforgettable Getaway Sweepstakes. That'd be a great way to start off 2017 for you and your family if somebody would win it. Also, over Christmas break, one of the shows that I've watched in the past that really kind of intrigues me, not only do I enjoy just cruise lines in general, and especially Disney Cruise Line, but just the whole shipping industry and everything around ships kind of intrigue me. And on the Smithsonian Channel, if you haven't caught it before, there's a great show called Mighty Ships, and one of them I watched this Christmas break was about the Norwegian cruise line, the Norwegian ship, the Breakaway. And if you go to season 2, just type in the Smithsonian Channel and then search for Mighty Ships. Under season 6, episode 1, they've got a great show on the Norwegian Breakaway, and it's all about how that ship was built over in Germany's Meyer Werft shipyard. And the reason why I bring that up, 1, just because it's interesting to watch a cruise ship get built, but 2, that is where Disney's next 2 ships are going to be built. So if you want to see how that whole process works and how it's going to work to build the 2 new ships coming to Disney, which I'm pretty excited about, go ahead and check that show out. It was pretty fascinating to see how that all came together as they built the Norwegian Breakaway. So I am now excited to jump into the show and bring you this week's show all about concierge cruising. And now I'd like to welcome to the show Christy Pudick, and we are going to talk today about concierge and her experiences with concierge and also how to book it and what you get when you experience it. So welcome to the show, Christy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I thought this is the first time you've been on the show, and I thought I'd give you this chance just to introduce yourself real quick to the listeners.
So I live in Michigan, southeast Detroit area in Michigan. I have a 3.5-year-old, and my husband is in the computer business, that computer software, so he occasionally has to travel for work. And I am an attorney with my own law practice, but also a travel agent. And so we use the travel agent side to be able to travel for work. So we always try to come up with what kind of trips we can imagine with either of our businesses, how we can get closer to Disney World whenever we can.
Perfect.
But other than that, that's it. I just work and plan Disney trips.
So you are a travel expert then. You've done a bunch of trips to Disney and on Disney Cruise Line and a whole bunch of other different cruise lines as well. So I thought you would be the perfect person to come on and today talk about concierge, which is something I know nothing about. So just to jump into it, what exactly is concierge?
Concierge is a cabin category on Disney Cruise Line that basically provides you with additional services that you don't get in the regular categories.
And I think when we were talking beforehand that you kind of likened it to like the club level for those of you who've experienced club level at Walt Disney World at the different hotels.
Yes, it would be akin to that.
Something similar to that. Perfect. Okay, so you have booked concierge before, is that correct?
I have. We have been lucky enough to experience it 3 times.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about when you want to book concierge as far as when the booking window opens. And is it similar to like the other categories where when the cruise ship or when the cruises first come out, the price point is going to be lower at that point versus if you wait generally? So something that you want to get on right away, just like the other categories?
Yes, there's definitely advantages to booking a concierge cabin as soon as the booking window opens. The price is lower. Now, the only difference or change to that is if you upgrade at the port before your cruise. So you don't get any of the pre-benefits of concierge, but you could get a lower price. So realistically, the only time you're going to get a lower price for concierge is either right when it first opens or if you do it at the pier, if there's availability.
Okay, and I think from some notes you sent me, you said the booking window, once you have booked concierge for your upcoming cruise, the booking window opens about 120 days before the cruise. And let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what do you get for that once the booking window opens?
So for all the other listeners that have been on a Disney cruise, you know that you can log in and do your online check-in and then start making your shore excursion plans, try to get a coveted cabana, do all these types of things. So, and they're at different levels depending on how many cruises you've been on. You can start at, I think it's 75 days for first-time cruisers, 90 days for those that have cruised up to 5 times the silver category.
Correct.
Gold is 105 days, and then platinum is 120. Well, concierge is also 120. So this could be your first Disney cruise ever, but you can book all of the little extras at 120 days before your cruise. And I will say, to answer one of your other questions as to when to book, for some of the more popular cruises, you really do need to book close to as soon as the booking window opens. I booked a concierge cabin for a Panama Canal cruise for April of 2018, and on the opening day, there was already decreased, and this was opening day for gold, so this wasn't even the general opening day.
Right.
This was for gold and platinum. It already had reduced options for availability. And now, so that cruise is in 15 months, and it is already, concierge cabins are already sold out on that cruise.
That's
and
amazing.
They were within the first week or whatever.
Wow, that's amazing. Sorry, I keep talking over you.
No, they will open up. People will cancel. But one thing to also remember with the concierge cabin is that the deposit is non-refundable. It's transferable so that you can transfer it to another booking. But unlike every other category on Disney Cruise Line that you can cancel once you book prior to final payment date, this deposit is not refundable. So it has to be applied towards a cruise somewhere. So either downgrade your cruise to a standard cabin, not in concierge class, or move it to a different week. But once you pay a deposit for concierge cabin, you won't ever get that money back. So just something to keep in mind. You do want to make sure that eventually you'll be taking that cruise.
So that's a good point for concierge then. Just like traveling to Walt Disney World, you know, a lot of things book up. The more popular things book up quickly. So booking at this level gives you the opportunity to possibly jump in ahead of everybody else to get those things done that you want to do while you're on that cruise.
Oh, absolutely. In my opinion, besides the size of the room, it's the biggest perk of concierge level.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit, about the different things they can do. But yes, being able to sort of secure the things you want for your cruise is one of the reasons you would pay that higher ticket price.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's a good one.
It's amazing. The last cruise that we did in Norway last May, we were silver castaway, so the lowest of the Castaway Club, and it was amazing how many things were already booked up by the time we got to book, and that's ahead of the general public so those going on their first cruises. So yeah, if it's a trip of a lifetime, that's definitely a game changer as far as being able to book things that you want, or making sure that you get to do the things that you want to do while you're on that cruise.
Exactly. If it's the once in a lifetime trip, then it might be worth it to do that extra expense for the concierge. There are different cabin levels in concierge too, and something to note on the Dream and the Fantasy, so the newer ships, is that they have a family veranda category. And so it is the same same cabin layout as the regular family veranda. So it's a little bit bigger than the regular veranda cabin. It can sleep 5 individuals, and it gets you concierge level and all of the benefits of concierge at a little bit of a lower price point.
That's a good point.
On the Wonder and Magic, they only have 1 bedrooms and above, so it does start a little bit. It starts more expensive just to begin with. But at least on the Dream and the Fantasy, you can get in with the lead-in category of the smaller room, so to speak, so that, it cuts down on the cost. So it's still, I would say, I did a rough search, and it looks like it's about $2,000 more, generally speaking, on a week-long cruise for the concierge family veranda than it would be to not have concierge. So then you just have to decide, is that worth it for you and your family? And if you really want a cabana because it's somebody's, major birthday or your big anniversary or whatever, if you really want a cabana on Castaway Cay and you're not platinum, and even if you are platinum and you really want a cabana on Castaway Cay, the best way to ensure that you get one is being in concierge class, because they can get it for you. And they can get it for you within reason, because there, I think, is 21 cabanas, and I think there's 40 concierge cabins, so not everybody gets one, but not everybody asks for one either.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny because I was just looking when we're leaving in March on just a 5-day cruise to the Western Caribbean out of Miami, and looking at Castaway Cay, you could get cabanas still when I booked on the silver on our Silver Castaway Club membership level. You could get them on the overall beach. I haven't been to Castaway Cay yet, but you could not get them on the family beach. All of the family beach stuff was booked up. So, yeah, definitely, that is a huge point.
Yeah, because on Disney, on Castaway Cay, on the private island, there is so much shaded areas that there's big trees and there's umbrellas at the lounge chairs at the beach. So you could, as an adult, really still have a great day with a shaded area without feeling like you need that cabana. So I can see why that might still be available. The family beach, people with families or multi-generational travelers, so if you have grandma with you as well, the cabana's really nice.
Right. Okay, so let's go back to... Now you've booked concierge, and that 120-day window comes open. What happens then? Do you have to go on the computer and do it yourself, or does Disney call you, or what happens then?
So Disney actually calls you about 10 days before.
Okay.
So about 130 days they call you, somewhere in there. I mean, it's give or take. And they basically say, your booking window is going to open soon. Here's the process. What you have to let us know. Do you have any questions, first of all? And you need to let us know what you want. You could also, just so you know, with concierge, they have people that are employed by Disney here in the stateside, and they're called shoreside concierge staff, basically. So, and then there's the concierge hosts that are on the ship. So there's 2 different ones. You're going to talk to the shoreside people before you leave, and then the ship people once you're on board. The shoreside people can be emailed anytime throughout. So I have a cruise coming up in March where we are sailing concierge. I have already been emailing them for the past, 6 months, because, was it? No, yeah. It would have been the 6 months. It would have been before, so I apologize, because I have another concierge cruise coming up in June, so I was just getting them confused. So I do apologize.
Oh, no problem.
So prior to making my reservations for the March cruise, I had been emailing them, and even after, to say, hey, I have a food allergy, and for people, I'm celiac, so I can't, we call it a food allergy even though it's not, but I can't have gluten. And so I could this is amazing, I could email them, and they would go to whoever the supplier is for the various shore excursions and find out what the menu is and if there were any gluten-free options for me prior to the start of the cruise. And I have a Carnival cruise coming up in a couple weeks here, and nothing like that exists for them. Even if I have a suite on Carnival, there's no one I can contact to say, hey, can I go on the shore excursion? So will I know if I could eat or not? That doesn't exist. And so it's so amazing with Disney. And one of the things we didn't talk about is that what you get out of concierge on Disney Cruise Line is the most amazing customer service you could ever imagine. They go above and beyond. One time, and this is like a little side story, I was trying to see what kind of beer, if they could get me gluten-free beer, and they came back with this brand that's very popular, and this was before one of my other concierge cruises, and it's Omission, which is a gluten-free beer where they take the gluten out. Well, I said, well, thank you, but don't go out of your way to have it because I don't drink that one. I'm just not comfortable with it because it could still potentially make me sick. They go, okay, well, what do you drink? And I gave them the brand and they had it on board. And they had a ton of it on board. I mean,
Wow.
I could never have drank as much as they had. And it's just such amazing customer service. So it's unreal. So anyway, you could email them ahead of time and ask them any question you have as it relates to the shore excursion. For me, I want to ask about menus, but somebody else might need to ask what kind of accommodations do they have or what type of transportation. Whatever your scenario is, they will find the answer for you. So that's just one of the perks. So they call you, like I said, at 130 days or so, and they say, do you have any questions? And then they give you the process. And basically the process is, just like if you are making your own reservations, you do things starting at midnight, the night the stuff opens. We can email Shoreside Concierge with our request for our cruise 125 days prior to the cruise. So basically on the 126th day,
Okay.
right? You stay up until midnight, or you set your alarm and wake up, and that's Eastern time, so adjust it for your time zone. And then you send them an email at midnight with your request. And here you say, I want a cabana. And you can even say, I want cabana number whatever, 8, number 5. You make your request. And then you say, I want to eat at Apollo on such and such date at such and such time, and I'll have a party of 3. I want this shore excursion. I want this shore excursion. Then, on 120 days, if you were to log in at midnight, all of your requests would just magically be, if they're available, listed as in your itinerary.
Okay.
In your cruise planner. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
So you're not going through at midnight and making the reservations. They've done that for you based on the email you send.
Wow. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
Just on this is a weird side note, but is there a map about Castaway Cay as far as where the cabanas are, like which one is which, or is it just from knowledge since you've been on cruises before as to which ones are which?
I don't know. There is a map, and they have, like, on the map, I know for sure the map that they give out will say, like, cabanas this number through this number.
Right.
And then they do have the little symbols of each of the different cabanas laid out so you can count them.
Okay.
There's a whole little world of people that analyze which cabana number is the best.
Right.
And so that's certainly something that could be Googled. I know, like, people really actually do love cabana number 5.
Uh-huh.
I shouldn't tell people my favorite cabana,
Well,
but we often pick cabana number 12, and I don't know why.
Uh-huh.
But it has, like, a great view of the ship, and then it also has, so the cabana, one of the advantages of having a cabana is your private beach area. And in your private beach, it has a tiny little lagoon of just a little body of water that it's usually pretty shallowish and whatever. It's off to the right. And then they have the big open body of water that everybody swims in. But then there's a line that says, okay, here there's a rope. It's roped off, and it says here's where the concierge or the cabana area is. And I might not be explaining this well, but either way, we like our cabana to be just to the left of that little lagoon. And they now actually have a second bathroom that's back in the row of where the cabanas are located, and so you don't have to walk as far. So one of the reasons people really liked cabana numbers 1 through 5 or whatever is because they were closer to the bathroom. But now there's another bathroom.
Oh, perfect. Well, cool. When we go there, I'm gonna have to at least walk by it and check it out and see what it looks like, because I've heard nothing but great things about the cabanas. So besides,
if you can, because if you don't have a cabana,
they won't let you near it.
Well, they will sometimes have somebody standing at the gate or whatever, and especially on the beach. So you can probably get away with walking through the gate if nobody's standing there.
Yeah.
But see, the concierge hosts are the hosts that man the cabanas during the day.
Okay.
So they know, even if they're not concierge guests at that point, who all the people that are supposed to be in the cabanas are.
Okay.
And they have amazing memories. It kills them. So they'll know kind of if you don't belong there, unfortunately. And every cabana guest does have to wear a wristband.
And that's totally understandable because you're paying a lot extra for that, so you should have that service. So no, I won't cause any problems. Just look to see where they are is all.
Don't want to get you arrested.
Okay, so besides the cabanas, what else can you book shoreside before you leave then? You talked about shore excursions, I think?
Yeah, so they book your shore excursions. They book your reservations at the adult-only paid restaurants, Palo and Remy. You can specifically tell them what time. If you don't know what the schedule is, like I have to do this coming up in a week for my June cruise, and I have been too busy. I haven't dealt with what the schedule is. I don't even have to bother worrying about it. I can say I want to eat at Palo on Pirate Night, and they will do it for me. So I don't have to know what night Pirate Night is, but I can say I want to eat there at 6:30, which is honestly what we often do because we don't prefer that menu. And they'll just figure out what night Pirate Night is themselves and make that reservation for you.
Cool.
Now they'll pull your tickets. It used to be that you could not reserve your Disney Junior breakfast or your meet and greets with Anna and Elsa and the princesses until you got on board. But now you actually make those as part of your reservations whenever your booking window opens. So they will pull those tickets for you. And in fact, we had found they were pulling them even before we requested it. So, but they'll get your Disney Junior breakfast ticket for you if it's offered on your cruise. They'll get your meet and greets for you. You can even email them and try to work out the times. And I've had to do that on a couple of different things for the Disney Junior because we were trying to work it out with whatever shore excursion we were going to do that day.
Okay.
So they do all that. And then, like I said earlier, they'll answer any of your pre-cruise questions that you have as well.
Awesome. So we've booked early. We've got our shore excursions and everything lined up that we can do ahead of time. Are we ready to talk about getting on the ship and then the experience on the ship, or is there anything else that we've forgotten?
I think that's it.
Okay, let's get on the ship. So what benefits do you get as far as being concierge when you show up at the port?
Well, I think when you show up at the port, you do a check-in in a private area that is sort of off to the side and quiet, and it's all about just making you feel special from the beginning. The Platinum folks are also checked in the same area, but then the concierge individuals get to go into this little seated area that's, just kind of quiet and small, and so they have seating prior to getting on the ship if they get there, before seating starts. Also, or before they open up the ship for the passengers. Also, if you do get there, let's say they've started boarding people at 11:30, 11:45, and you arrived at the port at 12. You go right to check in, and then somebody walks you onto the ship. So whatever line they have going on, they have a separate line for you, and you just kind of walk in, and they do it in such a way where other people don't even know, so they're not getting irritated at you. They're just in their own line, and they just kind of shuffle you along the side, because that's happened to us once.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, so it's really nice. I mean, you're paying a premium for this cabin, and so they do try to make it extra special for you, which is it's really nice. It's really nice.
So once you get on the ship, what do you do from there? Obviously, you come in, you get greeted as a family, and walk into the atrium, and then do they take you up to? Is there somebody there to take you up to your cabin, or is it up to you to go up to your cabin, or where does it go from there?
I don't know if somebody takes you up to the lounge. I feel like they would. We know where we're going at this point, so you would actually just enter the ship and go. I don't know where the lounges are in different places on the Wonder and the Magic. And I don't know where that is yet. So okay. I don't know which elevator you would take.
Okay.
But on the Dream and the Fantasy, you just go sort of to the right based on how they have the ship. Uh-huh. But you go right to the front elevators and you go right up to deck 12, and then you would go to the lounge from there. I feel like somebody would take you there if you needed to be. But yeah, so you go and you meet your concierge host as soon as you get on the ship. You drop your stuff. They already have food laid out in the lounge. Which the biggest benefit probably on board of concierge is the lounge that you get to go to. So right when you get on board, they have little finger sandwiches, they have fruit, they have They do have a bartender that first day that can make you a drink, and then they have you meet with the host who goes over this pre-printed schedule with you. Everything is just, it's like all the little touches. Like the pre-printed schedule has the little Disney Cruise Line logo, and it has a little logo for concierge, and it's so nice. I don't know how else to describe it. It makes you just feel so special, and it makes you just want to do it again. And so I had a couple of my pre-printed itineraries that they had done that I brought into my office for this conversation, and I'm looking at them, and they're just nice. I don't know how else to describe it, but it makes you want them again. But it goes through every single day. Like if you've made a reservation for something, it'll be on here. So the whole week going forward, or however many days your cruise is, what you have scheduled, sort of where you have to be at what time. So it's the whole goal is just make it a little bit of an easier experience for you.
Okay, and I'm guessing as they kind of go over your schedule for the week, and they say you've got this plan and this plan and this plan, if you've come up with something like, hey, you know what, we want to go to Palo instead of on Tuesday, we want to go Wednesday now.
Yep, and they have the schedule, they have the computer right there, and they just go in, change it, done.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and then they have a spa representative there as well who will make any spa reservations that you want for the week. And the greatest thing about it is you never have to wait in line. You know how you go to the guest services line for practically everything? You never go to guest services. You don't even have to know where it's located on the ship. They do everything for you. The only exception to that is if you are a scuba diver, the shores excursion people need to see your dive card and your logbook if they ask for it. You have to do that yourself. You can't just show the concierge. That's literally the only time you ever have to go anywhere but the concierge lounge to get something done. Wow. They take care of everything else for you.
So now you're in the lounge. You've got your schedule. You go to your room.
You get into your room early as well. Depending on how early you get on the ship, it might not be completely done being cleaned at noon. But usually by 12:30, they're cleaned. And if it's not cleaned, the concierge folks will store your stuff. Like we had our car seat for the baby on one of the cruises, and they'll just leave it there until your room's ready.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the lounge just a little bit more. So how do you use the lounge during the week or during your cruise? As far as like, do you eat there? Is it just snacks there, or how do you kind of view the lounge as the week goes by? It's obviously your focal point. Okay, it's obviously your focal point for your concierge. To work with. I'm one of the hosts. If you have any questions, you want to make any changes, but how do you use the lounge during the week, or what does it do for you?
Yeah, we use it quite a bit. For example, my husband sleeps a little bit later than my kid and I do, or he would like to in a perfect world. So my son will wake up and he'll, call out for me, or I'll be up, whatever. He calls out, and we actually will just go to the lounge right in the morning and have first breakfast or breakfast, depending on if we choose to have a second one later in the day. But we get my kids milk right away. We get me coffee right away. And we just sort of hang out there, usually for half hour, 45 minutes in the morning. And my husband gets to get more sleep. So that is a huge advantage right from the start for my immediate family, is just that benefit. They have a continental breakfast in the morning. And then they have little finger sandwiches and fruit. They have dessert like almost all the time, I think, out there. And then they have, in the evening, they have appetizers, little tiny small plate appetizers. And then they also have dessert again. And in the evening, they also have a cocktail hour. So you can literally eat in that lounge all day long if you want. We usually, now when we have access to the lounge, we rarely will go to Cabanas for the buffet for breakfast, because we'll just eat what they offer in the lounge. Which for me, they'll make me a gluten-free bagel that they provide for me, which is awesome. But they do have bagels that they toast for everybody else. I know one guy was getting hard-boiled eggs in there. One cruise, they have cereal out all the time. They will have things like yogurt. They have oatmeal. I think they have muesli. They have donuts. Fruit, and I'll eat a lot of the meats and the cheeses that they'll have out in the morning as well.
Cool. And then let's talk about drinks. So drinks are included with concierge if you're in the concierge lounge, I believe is what you said before.
Yes. And so you get drinks some drinks the first day, the welcome reception, and that goes until 3:15. So you could come and go until 3:15 no matter what time you board and have a beverage in there that first day of the cruise. And then each evening they offer it for an hour and a half.
And I guess I should say that we're talking about alcohol now, because obviously soda, milk, and everything else is already included in everybody else's cruise price. So really we're talking about alcohol right now, I guess, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I am specifically referring to alcohol, but to note, they do offer, like, right in the lounge, they have milk. They have cans of pop.
Yeah.
You get cans of pop soda in your room, and those get refilled, and there's no charge to drink those cans either. So, and they also have bottled water in your room fridge, and you can get as many bottled waters as you want. Like, they'll give you 6-packs to put in there at the beginning of the week or midweek. As the on-shore excursion days or days you're in port, they have bottles of cold water on, like, these little desk stands that they have, so that as you're leaving to go on your excursion for the day, you take bottles of water with you. Nice. And those are all perks. I mean, that all adds up.
Oh, it totally does, yeah.
And then each evening at dinner, they offer a happy hour. So it's before each dinner service. So there's the one before the 5 o'clock or 5:30 dinner, 5:45. I don't know what time it's like. 5:45. Uh-huh. So there's the one that is offered before that, and it might start at 5. And then there's the one that's offered before the second seating dinner as well. Okay. And you can go to both. So you can, if you're an early dinner person, you have a drink before your dinner, and then you have a drink after dinner. And then what I would do is get my glass of wine, or if I was going to have a cocktail that night, I just take that to dinner with me.
Oh, perfect.
And nobody ever seemed to care that I did that. No one had any opinions about that, I should say.
And how about while you're in the lounge, does it ever feel crowded, or is it?
Just that first day. You know, when everybody's getting on board, it does, I think, feel a little bit crowded, but it never felt crowded after that.
Okay. It's a pretty relaxing place to be then.
Yes. They do have a little TV for kids. And I use relaxing is sometimes loose, because it does get before, like in the morning, before a shore excursion, it's a little bit just, there's more going on.
Right.
And sometimes sometimes even the hosts are kind of loud. It was funny. Though there was one on our last cruise that was like singing with my son, and my son actually would just stare up at her and go, "What are you doing?" And she was just like singing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star," and so it wasn't necessarily quiet during that moment, but typically it's pretty calm.
Now, you also talked about parties that they have in concierge level too.
Yeah, they have, on a week-long cruise, they offer 2 parties. And I think everything less than a week-long cruise probably gets 1 party. And just at that party is just another opportunity to mingle with other people that are also in concierge. They have a concierge deck, a sun deck on each of the cruises, which is just a seating area limited for concierge guests. So it's just another place and it's an outside space that you can escape sort of from the crowds if you want. And in that space is where they have the concierge parties, assuming that the weather is agreeable for that.
Okay.
But they do drinks then. They also do smoothies for the kids. And then on one of the parties, they have a special character that'll come. So it's typically one of the Fab 5, and then I include plus Daisy because she's not a Fab 5, so maybe we'll call it a Fab 6.
Okay.
So, and it's a different character each week. And they'll tell you, smile, there's going to be a special character. So you just want to make sure you get there towards the beginning of that, because once everybody takes a picture with the character, which you can do as many times as you want, but once they're done, the character leaves, even though the deck party might still be going on.
So make sure you get there early. Don't wait for the last minute to get there.
Yeah, because on one cruise, we did see a family, and it was kind of sad for them. A family was coming up the stairs 5 minutes after the character left, but still well within the deck party where they said the character would be present. But the character does not mingle with you. They just take pictures.
And I don't want to go into all the specifics because each ship's a little bit different, and that might get a little confusing. I guess the best thing maybe to say is that if you're thinking about concierge, talk to a travel agent like Christy, because they're going to have all the information if you haven't cruised concierge before, and they can answer all the specific types of questions about each different ship and what is included on that ship. If you're thinking about going concierge on one of your upcoming cruises, So, do they have a pool at each one of the? Is there a separate pool, or
No.
it's just the lounge with an
Yes,
outdoor
just
area?
right.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like the Dream has a splash, something like, and the Fantasy does too, where it like spits. It would be water, I guess, right?
Water
Out
at
at
you
you.
while you're
Yeah.
while you're having your drink.
Isn't that not lovely? But
Yeah.
a cooling station. That's the word I'm trying to look for.
Okay.
So just like they have at Disney World. So they do have that. But no, there wouldn't be any private like pool area. But it's really comfortable seating up there,
Mm-hmm.
which is really nice.
Perfect.
Then they also, so then just relating to the room categories, just really quick. So on the Dream and the Fantasy, they have, so the newer ships, they have the family veranda, which I touched upon. They have the one bedroom. And the one bedroom, and then they have like the royal suites. And the one bedroom and the royal suites have kitchen tables. And so because there's a table, they will do a full service room service, full service dining in your room via room service.
Wow.
So you could have a full breakfast and a full dinner. And I know we had talked about this before when you and I were just chatting. I don't know about lunch, but I assume you can have lunch in there as well.
Okay.
So you order off of menus, which they have in the concierge lounge. If you wanted breakfast, you would place your order by, I think it was 10 o'clock the night before, and they will bring you your breakfast. If you're in one of the royal suites, you can get Palo or Remy delivered to your room. So one of the really fancy suites that are just amazing. But the price tag definitely goes with the amazingness.
Uh-huh.
So, definitely something for only certain people. But, it's really nice to have that quiet meal sometimes, especially with kids, or if you're actually adult only and you just want to be away from all the kids. In both of those cases, the option to have that in-room dining quietly by yourself is a wonderful feature.
Now, I've got a 6 and a 10-year-old boy. I don't know how anybody would not want to sit next to us. And yeah.
I always say, I like my kid. I don't necessarily like everybody else's.
Hey, so speaking of food, what about in the suites? We just touched on that. But what if you are in that family veranda, or just in general? Can you order? Is room service included in it? Because I know, like, if you're just in a regular cabin, some parts of room service is free, some part you have to pay for. Do you know anything? Do you know how that works?
It's the same.
Okay.
So they have that really big cheese plate, and then they have that big fruit platter. And actually, the concierge rooms get that fruit platter that you can pre-order and spend money on before the cruise. That's in your cabin when you board. So it's just a little perk that I sort of forgot about until just now. But everything that costs money on the room service menu still costs money in the concierge cabins. The difference is that you can order, like I said, in-room dining off of the menus that the restaurants have if you have those larger cabins, because you have a table that they can set your dinner up on.
So those are some of the aspects of getting food in the cabins. How about the cabins themselves? Are they different than just the regular cabins that you can check into, like the family verandas or the inside cabins or anything else? How are the cabins themselves?
So the family veranda, the concierge cabins go from family veranda and to above that, so to larger than that. So the family veranda is the exact same layout, size, and everything is the same inside it. In concierge versus and I'm sorry for stuttering again, versus the standard cabin, except that in concierge there's more of that wood, whatever that wood is that they throw on fancy cars. Those are in these cabins as well. So that wood paneling stuff that they think makes everything looks fancy.
Right.
So the family veranda has that wood paneling on it, which wouldn't be in the standard family veranda cabin. And then the one bedroom, those are they're not standard cabins, so you can't compare it. They are really nice though. I mean, there's so many closets, there's so much storage, you can't even fill all the space that they provide for you to fill. It's just really nice. The bedroom has pocket doors so that they have an open feel during the day. Your room attendant will just open up the doors. And then at nighttime, they close you in so that your kids can be sleeping, or other family, whoever's traveling with you, can be sleeping on the fold-out couch, or they have one of those pull down out of the wall beds. What are those? Murphy beds.
Murphy beds, yeah.
So you can have people sleeping out there, but in the Murphy bed area too, versus the living room, there are curtains that you can draw. So you can have a little bit of a separated sleeping area for whoever is sleeping. And then the bedroom, like I said, it has the pocket doors. The bathroom actually takes your breath away when you walk in. It is huge. It is so big. The tub is giant, and it's jetted, and it's absolutely huge. The whole bathroom, there's double sinks in there on the vanity. Then there's the separate standalone shower, separate little room for a toilet. It is so big.
Wow.
I mean, there is so much space. There is more floor space in the bathroom of the one bedroom than in an inside cabin. Just floor space, just empty space where you can just walk around. Yeah, it's really, really, really nice. The furniture is so comfortable. The couches and the chairs that are in like the little living room area are very comfortable. You actually want to sit in this furniture. So it really, the carpet, I mean, such a silly thing, right? But the carpet is so plush. It's actually nice and soft on your feet. So it's like they really did, their attention to detail was, you could see it in these rooms.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like the perfect, if you're the type of family that is going on a cruise and you like to spend that quiet time in your room or just time in your room away from the crowds and stuff, it sounds like the perfect place to do it.
And that's exactly what I would say it's for. It's for somebody who either wants that extra level of attention and service, or people also that really just want to spend time in your room. My son loves to be in his home, quote unquote, wherever that is. Uh-huh. So if his home is on a cruise ship, if his home is in a hotel, he needs a lot of time in that room away from people, just as downtime. And he's been like that since his first cruise. He was 7 months old. He's been like that whole time. He loves to travel, but he needs to be in his home as well. And so for us, we do spend a lot of time in the room. But there are people that at breakfast they leave, and maybe to change and to shower is all they come back during the day until they go to sleep at night. You know, it would not be necessarily worth it. It's sort of like club level at Disney World. If you're not going to utilize the options that they provide, then it is not worth booking into that category for you.
Right. Well, cool. So I think we've touched on the lounge and the rooms. Anything else while you're on board that you can think of, Christy, that's included with concierge, or some of the things that you enjoy while you're on board when you're sailing concierge?
Well, they give you unlimited bagged popcorn during the week.
Oh, nice.
So you can take that bag of popcorn with you to your room to watch a movie. They also have DVDs. They have a ton of DVDs. So if you wanted to watch a movie in your room, you would just check out a DVD, and they have DVD players in all the rooms. So even the family veranda rooms as well have the DVDs, so you can sit and grab your popcorn and watch it. You could also take your popcorn with you down to the movie theater, because Disney does, right outside the movie theater, have popcorn. It's for sale, and you can purchase it, of course. But you can get it, as a concierge guest, get your own bagged popcorn before you leave. They do give you 100 megabytes of internet per room, so you also then get your free 50 megabytes as long as you download it the first day. So you definitely want to do that if you are going to use any internet at all. So you end up with 150 megabytes for your room, for your cruise. So that's a great little benefit. And then they have, according to the little sheet of what they provide, they also offer games, board games. So if you wanted to do games, and you could actually play those if you wanted in the lounge, which is nice. So the lounge is great because it's an extension of space. So let's say you didn't get a one bedroom that has the table. You could just play your board game there. But you want to do a board game with your family. You can go to the lounge and play that, and there's plenty of table space there. And during the day, it's so quiet. So that would be another way to utilize that lounge if you wanted. And I think that's it. They have magazines as well. So you can... like they had People magazine, so it was fun. I know I read that during the week up in the sun deck, actually. So you just take them out, and when you're done, you bring them back. And so they have several different magazines that they offer for people as well.
Perfect. Well, so we've booked our cruise, we've been on our cruise, and we've come to the sad part where the cruise has to end. What's different about concierge when it comes to embarkation day? Anything different as far as getting off the ship that makes it easier for you?
They will walk you off if you want to in the morning. So you can sort of cut the line where other people don't know you're cutting the line. But you have to walk off with them, and I believe that time is 7:45. It's either 7:45 or 8:15. It's one of those two, but it's only offered at one time. So if you want to not stand in the regular line to exit the ship, you have to leave when they offer it, which they'll tell you ahead of time. But
I think, so will they have breakfast for you in the morning then before you get off in the lounge, or do you have to go downstairs to your original restaurant?
So something that people just need to know, that nobody has to go to the original restaurant if they want. I am never going to breakfast at 6:30 in the morning, ever. So Cabanas is open. Cabanas is open until 8 or 8:30. Now, they don't advertise it, but it is.
Wow.
On every single sailing. And so I have always, except for when I have the concierge lounge, always been at Cabanas for my last breakfast.
Is it busy up there?
No, it's totally empty.
Really?
But I think they take that food down at 8:30, and there is no joke about that.
Yeah.
Like, at 8:30, like, the curtains are down. I mean, they're, like, staring at their watch. It's to the second. So you really need to make sure you get your breakfast before then. But, yeah, you can go to Cabanas.
Wow.
They do have breakfast in the lounge, though. And I think the lounge is only open until 8:30, same type of time frame. So, basically, you have to get your breakfast before then, and then they kick you out, and they're getting ready for the next cruise.
All right, so going back to breakfast then, so your options are you can get downstairs to your original restaurant, you can go to Cabanas, which I did not know, or you can get some breakfast there, and then you can walk off with them when they leave about 7:45. And I'm guessing they'll let you know, like the night before, what time that's going to be.
Yes, they will. Whatever that time is, yep, they'll let you know.
Can I just throw just a weird side note here? And I'm not sure if I talked about this on a different podcast or not, but on our last cruise, we had Palo booked. And this is on the Magic, and our plan was to have the kids just eat some pizza or something like that up by the pool when we got back from our shore excursion, and that was all closed. So our booking time wasn't conducive to take them downstairs to our original. We were on the early seating, so that wasn't going to work, and then have us get to Palo. So we took the kids to Cabana, and it was awesome. It was like one of the best experiences we've had on a Disney ship because there was hardly anybody up there, and the waiters were just incredible. They'd cook you whatever you wanted, and they were so friendly. They just sat down. Ours sat down and talked to us for probably about 15 minutes, told us all about where he was from, and we just had the greatest conversation. So it's kind of cool to hear little tips like that. The Cabanas is open in the morning when you leave because I never knew that. But we just had a really good experience, and I never thought about going to Cabanas in the evening because you always think about going to the restaurant that you're assigned to that night.
Right. One thing to note is Cabanas in the evening is not open on the first night or the last night.
Okay, yeah, and this was like day 3 or day 4 that we did it. So, good point. Well,
there is chicken tenders, I know for a fact, on the room service menu. So, let's say you missed, like, Cabanas is not open, or you're one of the people that need to try to change your dining time, and we could talk about that in another episode, but if you just need to get some food and you can't go to the dining room and Cabanas is closed, there are items that you can get away with being meals on the room service menu that you can get delivered right to your room.
That's a good point.
So,
I'm such not a room service person. Like, I travel every week, and it doesn't even strike my mind to think about room service. But yeah, that's a good. I didn't even think about it when we were on our cruise. Yeah. But well, cool. So we're off the ship now, and is there any follow up after? I know. It is that sad day when you have to go back to reality. Is there any follow up like afterwards? Do they kind of contact you out of curiosity just to say, hey, how did we do this time, or is there something we could do better? Or...
None of that.
Okay.
I don't even think you get the normal questionnaire at the end of the cruise that you fill out.
Uh-huh.
There's nothing even extra in there. So no, there's no follow up. They do give you, you know how Disney Cruise Line gives you that little tiny picture that they mail to you after the cruise?
Yeah.
They give you a really big one in concierge.
Okay.
And so it's huge, and you just take that with you. So you don't get the picture after, you get the the big picture during the cruise.
Well, anything else you could think of, Christy, about sailing concierge by any chance?
No, that's about it. It's wonderful. The one problem is you will want to keep doing it. So it really, really, really is nice, though. And, if you can work it into cutting costs in the rest of your life to make it work out. For me, that's what we do. We eat, lunch at home most days of the week, and we only eat out usually once a week in the evening for dinner. And so we do a lot of cost cutting in our regular life so that we can really sort of spend on the extreme level on vacation.
That's perfect. Yeah, we kind of do the same thing too, where we'd rather put our money into our vacations than into just the everyday kind of thing sometimes. So that's an awesome strategy. You've got a bunch of trips coming up. What have you got coming up cruise wise?
I'm actually going on the Carnival Vista in a week and a half. So Carnival's new ship. I'm excited to see how that will be in comparison to Disney and Royal Caribbean. So I've cruised in the past 3 years. 4 years. I've cruised Celebrity, Royal Caribbean, and Disney. And so it's been a while. It's been about 7 years since I've cruised Carnival. So I'm excited to see what that's like again. And then I'm really excited about warm chocolate melting cake that Carnival serves at dessert every night. So they make it gluten-free even, so I'm pretty excited. Then in March, because we hate cold winters, we take a lot of trips. In March, we are doing a few days at Disney and then a 7-night on the Fantasy. So I'm pretty excited about that as well.
Is that Eastern or Western Caribbean? Where are you guys going?
We are going to the Western this time.
Okay, nice. What islands do you guys stop at?
We will be, Castaway Cay, and then the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, and Mexico, Cozumel, Mexico.
Wow. I'd like to go to Cozumel one of these days.
Oh, it's great. It's a great port. It's one of my favorites.
My cousin goes down there every year, and she and her husband are scuba dive instructors, so they go down for a month and teach scuba diving, and one of these years I'm going to join them. But
the diving there is great.
Well, I really want to thank you for coming on today. If somebody wants to get a hold of you between now and then and pick your brain for your services, how can they get a hold of you best, Christy?
Yeah, I have a website, blog, packyourpixiedust.com, and all of my contact information is available on there. You can also follow me on social media on Instagram and then reach out to me via those means as well. Instagram, Facebook, and then Twitter. The Twitter handle is PackYourYR only. So PackYR Pixie Dust, because there was not enough letters to put the whole thing in. But everywhere else, I'm Pack Your Pixie Dust. And, you could follow along on our trips and get excited about travel with me, or reach out if you have any questions about your own trips.
And it is pretty amazing. I can tell you from firsthand, following Christy and some of her trips, she put some incredible photos on there. So when it's cold in winter, like it is right here in Oregon right now, it's always nice to see where you're out and about, and some of the nice pictures in the sun down there at Disney World or on the cruise line.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's fun getting out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your expertise. I really appreciate it. It was really fun talking to you.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
And if you are up for it, I'd love to have you come back if not sooner, but definitely when you get back from your Carnival cruise, and we can maybe talk a little bit about the differences between cruising Carnival with kids and Disney Cruise Line.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Christy. I really appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you here in a couple of weeks or so.
Sounds good.
All right, take care. Well, I hope you enjoyed that discussion all about concierge cruising, and I'd like to once again thank Christy for coming on the show today and providing her expertise on that topic. I will make sure that I put her information in the show notes, so look for it at the bottom of the podcast as well. And I want to thank you, the listener, once again for taking the time to come back to the DCL podcast. We've got some exciting shows coming up in 2017. We've got one, I've been working on a fun show on the history of Disney Cruise Line's first ship, the Magic, and I'm hoping to get the next one out here in a week or so, all about Airbnb. I've been kind of struggling trying to get that one edited and out to you. I'm pretty excited about it, though. You're going to really find that an interesting show if you haven't used Airbnb before, because it's all about kind of the history and how to use it from somebody who is an expert in running Airbnbs. So look for that one hopefully in the next week or so. Between now and then, though, for those of you who are heading out on trips and travels and cruises, I want to wish you safe travels and fair winds, and we'll see you next time on the DCL podcast.